Hello, welcome to Activating Magic. Welcome, Laura. I'm so happy to be here with you. You have been a guest on my podcast before a couple of times, and I just love you. I love everything that you're doing. And just how would you like to be known today? People have heard your bio, so
Goodness, man, that's a question, isn't it? I would love to just be known as a human being who is on this adventure of life with everybody else and someone who just really wants to show up and be a wave of change in the world.
and you are. I know that. Thank you. So for folks listening, you can go back and you can search for Laura, and we've got a couple of former episodes. So I would love to start with just tell people a little bit and catch me up because we haven't connected in a
My
while.
goodness.
Last time I interviewed you, you had just adopted your baby from retreat. Like literally you were hosting a retreat when you got the call and you had to like make magic happen. So like catch me up.
Oh my goodness. So I now I'm in my head, I'm sitting here like, okay, well, the real answer to your last question is I run a coach training company for holistic practitioners. So coach trainer, coach myself. But yeah, so I started off way back when as a massage therapist who saw this simple thing, this simple disconnection in so many of my clients and it got me curious. I started coaching my clients, which led to lots of adventures of me eventually helping other holistic practitioners in their business. Um, my son, James, who is now 5, Darla, he is
It's been
5.
5 years.
Um,
Wow.
and I have to make my dog not bark. I'm sorry about that. So he's 5 now. He was born during one of my events. He's adopted, and so it was just a magical. I mean, go listen to that episode. That was just magic.
I'm so glad we captured that.
Oh my gosh, I there's just so much. So, catching you up, man, learning how to navigate motherhood and business.
Mm.
That has been quite an adventure, and it's really uh brought me back into what is essential, what my priorities
Mm.
are. There was a time and a season in my business where, um, it was like go and grow and be big and like really, we did over 7 figures, and it was amazing. And then the irony is, as the woman who teaches how to avoid burnout, I burnt out.
Mm.
And so I went through this really deep recalibration season where I really had to come back to my values. I had to come back to the core of the work that I teach. And I had to live it for myself. Um, and so it's interesting now, all these years later, um, I'm in a space where it's like I once had a mentor, Trudy LeBron, say, there's no right size business. There's only the right size business for you.
Mm.
And so I'm in this really beautiful space where because of all the stuff that I've learned with you and all of that, I have a very simple business that is simple and spacious, and it
Mm.
feels so good right now.
Mm.
Since we talked last, I have gotten my coach training ICF accredited.
I saw
So
that.
yeah, I know that
Epic.
was a big deal. Yeah, so we are now an ICF level 1 accredited coach training. We are in process of doing our level 2 accreditation, which I think is just, I tell people that our coaching framework is designed to hold the coach, and then the credentials and all of the ethics and the competencies are there to hold you. So that has been really fun and is just I feel like I've deepened, I think
Mm.
is the experience. And I've really let myself honor my pace in a season where, man, I mean, it is fun when you're building the business, because it's like, rah, and you go and you try stuff and like things happen and you're growing and all this stuff
Mhm.
is clicking. Um, but now I feel like I'm entering that like matriarch part of my business. I'm now really thinking about like legacy and what I want this to be beyond me and how I can really honor my energy and have this thing that I've created have roots. So it's such a different way to think about things.
Mm, I love it. I have so many questions and
Okay,
I
good.
relate to a lot of things you're saying and
Okay.
just like so many questions. So, um, first, I want to name, you said when you were a massage therapist, you noticed this simple
Yes.
disconnection.
Yes.
Can you say what that is?
Yeah, I would now call this like embodiment, or I would say that my clients were disembodied, that how they were feeling in their body and what was going on in their life felt like two separate things. And the irony was that when they would come into their sessions, like they would tell me their stories, and I would see their shoulders go up to their ears. I would literally see them hold on to things, dig their heels into the ground, and I could literally feel the stories that were happening in their life happening in their body.
Mm,
And I could also feel the moment where they reconnected.
mm,
Sometimes it was just a breath, but it was like I could feel them back in their bodies. And that little piece of embodiment, um, being present with,
yes.
you know, being present with and present through as well. We have a choice in how we want to feel. And in a world that benefits from our disconnection,
Yes.
embodiment is a radical act.
Yes. Oh my. Okay, so we're going to dive a lot into that
Okay.
today. Thank you for naming that. And, I'm one of the bodies of work I've developed since we worked together is around magic, which the name of the podcast, right? And there's 6 types of magic, which is how your knowing works. How do you know what you know in service of your clients when you're on retreat? And I'm hearing you felt it in your body, sensation magic, and you recognized the pattern between what they were saying and what was happening in their body and your body. So,
Ye- Yeah, and even as you're saying that, so like for me, it started off and my intuition when I first started to feel it was very much through my hands and my sensations, where it's like I could feel it on their bodies and then I could feel it on mine. And so that was the first way that I felt it. As I developed my coaching, I could like hear it in their words, I could see it on their face. So I feel like even our like that intuition, and I know people like hear voices or see
yeah.
colors and they
Mhm.
experience it different ways. I once had another coach say it's like it's a your intuition is one of your senses on steroids,
Mm,
and
yeah.
you can actually harness your intuition. You can practice it. And so, I mean, I
Yes.
just, I had my hands on people all the time. Like I just felt stuff. And then when I started bringing in the coaching and I could hear them talk, I started to hear deeper things. I mean, I can see somebody on Zoom and know where energy is stuck in their body.
Mhm. Yeah. And I'm thinking, what was it in you that had you say, I need to talk about this. I need to package this. People need to know this.
I mean, I would love to
Or
tell you
this
it was
is
because,
real.
yeah, I would love to tell you it was because like I'm so wise and innovative. But honestly, I mean, like, what is it? Uh, like the challenge breeds creativity. I know I'm messing up the phrasing there, but it was a financial strain. It was in the time when we were trying to get pregnant, and the doctor told us that we need to do a $15,000 deposit for IVF. And by the way, Laura, you shouldn't do so much massage. And that was the moment where it forced me to think differently. Like, the fastest way to change your life is to change how you bring money in. And
Mm.
so that moment of, okay, I can't keep working the way that I'm working.
Yeah.
How can I get the result that I'm looking for in a different way? So what I did is I shifted, instead of selling single massages where I was going 30, 45 minutes extra, and talking to my clients and trying to help them, like they were looking to me to tell them what their body was saying. I was becoming the middleman in their own freaking body, you know? And so I was like, wait a second, what if instead of me telling them how to do this, what if we do 3 months, 4 months in a coaching container where I help them learn to listen to
Yeah.
their own body? And so instead of charging 75 an hour, I started charging 1,500, 2,000, 2,500 plus. And I was able to cut my workload in half without having that dip in income.
Yeah. I love that. You said the fastest way to change your life is to change the way you bring money in.
Mm.
So you don't know this, but I've recently been doing webinars about retreats.
No.
And, I haven't talked about that since pre-COVID and bringing it back and pulling things up. And I have your story of when you decided to host your retreat in Columbus rather than Maui. And I feel like I have to talk about it because I've been talking about this in my webinar, this idea of go big or go home,
Mhm.
which was the feeling that you had at that time. Like, if I don't take people to Maui and have this impressive experience, they won't buy it. But yet it was easier to fill Columbus, Ohio. And so, um, your story, you talked about this go big or go home idea and now right sizing. And I'm just thinking back to that experience. So I think first, just if people haven't, heard of you before, talk a little bit about how you started doing retreats and bringing that into your work. And then anything you want to say about go big or go home.
Apparently I want to say a lot because that like totally pinged me. And I always love having conversations with you, Darla, because I literally have no idea what I'm going to say. And I know that the way you hold space here is a space for me to be honest and transparent, because sometimes we get on these shows and we get on these podcasts and we're supposed to be this like picture of perfection, that we have it all figured out in our business, and like, look at us, we just like did the thing and it happened and right? Like, and it's business is it's messy, and you have to feel your way forward, and you have to like try things and make mistakes and all of that good stuff. So to go back into this goodness retreat. So I had been doing some online coaching for a while, and then I wanted to do the first round of the coach training, and I wanted there to be a retreat in it. And my experience up until that point, which had been wonderful, was like these really like fancy, go to Hawaii, go to like all in, all inclusive, everything's paid for. And I felt like that was what I was supposed to do to prove my value.
Mhm.
And I remember like I didn't have any proof of concept to my program. I didn't know if people were going to buy it. And I, thank goodness, got negotiated a non-negotiable or a refundable deposit for like a certain amount of time. Because I put down like, it was like, you probably know the number. It was at least like 10, 15 grand
That's a lot. Yeah.
before I even had any clients signed up. And then it made the investment in my program like more than I was able to confidently say, right? And like, even I'm just saying that because you know this, like your pricing is an embodiment practice. And I
Yes.
was not embodied in that pricing. And I am not scared of stretching myself. I am not afraid to like try different things, but that was something that it went a little bit far out of that growth zone and into panic that I couldn't sell it.
Yeah.
So ended up bringing it home to a great place. I think I've hosted I think I'm about 20 retreats in now.
Mm.
Took a break during COVID
Mhm.
and slowed down when my son was born. Now I still do them more for like my masterminds and
Mhm.
like just very intimate, although I am thinking about bringing back um, that initial body mind uh,
Okay.
retreat. I kick it around and we're kind of feeling into when that might get to live
Mm.
again in its own beautiful way. I think retreats are just so lovely in that they deepen the client experience in a way that you can't do solely online. And so it's for those high level programs, it's almost a non-negotiable at this point because you just the connection that happens is unparalleled.
Mm. I love what you said. We're thinking about bringing back the body mind retreat because it's like we can feel it's an entity in and of itself, right? It's a
Oh, it's
signature
amazing. Oh,
experience.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
I still have people tell me like that retreat changed their life. Still
Yeah.
to this day, it's amazing.
And it becomes something then that people know, they refer friends to. They're like, have you been to Laura's body mind retreat? Like it's a thing. And I'm going to say one more thing about retreat, and then we're going to go to embodiment, which is people want to have a different topic for everything. And then they never become known, right? Like, oh, I want to do a retreat on relationships and one on health and one on, right? And you really took that simple experience close to home so you could prioritize your family and made it something that made you a ton of money. And it worked.
Oh yeah. And it worked really well. I love delivering it. It also worked really well in how it catapulted other folks to upgrade into our other levels. So like
Mhm.
it's been amazing. And it's just, I mean, COVID, baby, lots happening. I'm still doing retreats, but just that
Yeah.
one, I'm like, and I always think of you in that every retreat has its own soul.
Yes.
That retreat has a soul, and that soul is still out there. And I sit there and I'm like, okay, I'm I think things are shifting. I'm starting to feel that energy of wanting to call it back in. And
Mhm.
I'm open to waiting until that synergy is there. And
Mhm.
like I trust that that soul is gonna ping me. And that's that embodiment piece is I think key to all of this. That you know, I okay, so truth be told, with the burnout part of it, a lot of that happened for me. I don't know if it was necessarily burnout. I I had a moment, um, trying to find the right words in how I say this. I don't know if it was a wake up or just Darla. Okay. You and I have been on the internet here doing this little dance
Mhm.
for quite a bit. And I would say you and I have been there from like early on when the internet business and the online coaching stuff got really popular.
Mhm.
And I had a moment, 2020, my business doubled, like huge. It got bigger in 2021.
Mhm.
Um, and also during this time, we saw a lot of quote unquote coaches come online and demonstrate a lot of really unethical, shady ass shit.
Mhm.
And I stepped back because I think it's fair to say that there's a lot of unethical things that happen in the world of online coaching. And there's a lot of people that I talk to people all the time who are like, oh, the coaching cringe.
Mhm.
I'm scared to call myself a coach because it's
Right.
cringy. And so part of what happened, I mean, like I was obviously there was definitely burnout a part of this, and my son was so young. I had to step back because I was disconnected. I
Mhm.
felt like I was trying to maintain something
Mhm.
that I wasn't sure, like I saw myself, okay, full disclosure, I could see how a lot of the toxic things that we saw in the online coaching business, I had learned a lot of them.
Mhm.
I had worked with mentors who taught a lot of them. Um,
Yeah.
I could easily, easily play that role and continue to perpetuate a lot of things that I think were harmful.
Mm.
And so, yeah, I was tired. I was burnt out. I was a new mom. My whole sense of normal had like been shaken up. But when I looked at my values, when I looked at who I am, who I'm called to be, like I had to step back and come back to myself. I legit turned off all of my funnels for 6 months
Mm.
because I could not very well embody this idea of integrity when I felt like I was doing a lot of stuff that was not ethical, you know? And
Mm.
some of that stuff I was very good at.
Mm. I really want to acknowledge what it takes to say that, and to be able to share that. And I'm thinking, to me, this is something that I've found in my journey is that if I reflect on anything over and over and over, it's like, what is integrity, right? Because we're in this world, this is my truth, is nothing gets created without possibility first, right? It's like the energy creates our world. And I needed help to get my energy aligned with what I wanted and what was possible. Like I didn't have any clue I could want something and create it when I started this journey, right? And people stood for me and taught me that. And at the same time, that's such a way to disempower us, right? Like, because it's true, I couldn't see what I couldn't see from my filter, and I needed someone to help me see it. And then that can show up as I need someone, right, to help me just exist in some way. So I'm making filling in some blanks there, but I'm assuming there's some version of that that is what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I think I just, oh man. There were people that I looked up to in the like wellness online coaching space that really it was sad to see how they showed up to something.
Mm,
And then it
mhm,
made me question myself. And and so part of the stepping back was like, okay, who am I? What do I stand for? Um, and then also what's interesting though, I also do feel like it quieted my voice in a way that it took me a while to find my voice again. And
mm,
human design folks, I'm a projector. Like you get me, you invite me and you let me talk, I will talk. I have no problem. And it like I literally felt stifled. And so there was a learning that had to happen.
mm,
There was like a recalibration that had to happen there. And again, coming back to this idea of embodiment. I literally sat there with my values of like, what are my values? What do they look like? What do they feel like? How am I living them, inside of my everyday life? How am I showing up in my relationships? How am I showing up as a mother? How am I showing up in my business? Um, in what ways have these values, have I outgrown these? How do I need to redefine these? And that embodiment piece for me is I have to live them first, right? This, for me, values are a feeling.
mm,
Like, like that talk about magic. There's like when you're in a state of like flow or connection, or when you just feel like you are in your power, in your magic,
mhm,
right? There's probably some like that's a blend of your values.
mm.
Like you're in those values and you are living them. And then one of the things we teach in body mind is in your one beautiful body you have three brains. You have a brain in your belly, your enteric nervous system, deep down on the base of your pelvic bowl. You have a brain in your heart, which for me is that connection to source, connection to something bigger than ourselves. Not to mention your heart can be felt up to 15 feet away, that electromagnetic force. And then you have this brain in your head. And the brain in your head is meant to be a support system. But we live in a culture that idolizes the brain in the head and thinks if I have it all figured out, if I know all the stuff, then the rest of it's going to like trickle down and, fall into place. When really physiologically, it actually works the opposite. When how you feel, and even that body brain is like, that is your connection to the earth. Literally, like all that stuff that's going through your digestive tract is information that your gut picks up on. And that energy, so how you feel when it is connected to a sense of purpose, of something beyond you, what happens is that information goes up to the head. And now your brain, your neocortex, can think in alignment of the energy of what you want. As you said, possibility. Albert Einstein has a quote, at least it's attributed to Albert Einstein. The intuitive mind is a sacred gift. The rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that has forgotten the gift and honors the servant.
Yes.
And for everybody listening who knows, like you have the gut feeling, who has been empathetic and intuitive, and just that, like you said, the magic, the inner knowing. I like to tell people this, that data in your body is so much more than the data your brain can ever process. I don't know the exact statistic, but the information going through your body, you're probably processing 10, 20, 30, 100 times more information in your body than your thinking brain, than you're even conscious of. So of course your gut feelings are a lot more logical than you give them credit for.
If we think about this way that we've got it opposite, right? And I think about what's going on in the world and how I think so many of us feel in our body the disconnect, right? Like however the logic is being communicated in such a way that people try to make it make sense, but the body says, "Ooh, but that just feels off." And I'm thinking of, I feel like we had very different COVID experiences. I will say that because I got the divorced early COVID and then I moved through like all of this stuff and I was like, "Whoo, I'm aligned. All right, life is." So I think we had, maybe we were on different places in our transformational cycle. That said, I think what you're pointing to about practices that maybe are logical and work strategically in terms of marketing, maybe funnels or whatever, but maybe don't feel good to the body. It's like mirroring what's going on in the world in some way.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so, just to underline, the practices of embodiment are so important right now. And part of why I developed the magics is kind of similar to what you were saying. People were coming to you to be the surrogate to understand their body. I kept having people say, "My guidance is telling me this, but what do you think?" And it's like,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, you just trust yourself, right? And so that's kind of the point of it. I just think it's critical right now that we become fierce with ourselves to trust our own guidance, to trust our bodies, to follow our own wisdom when maybe leadership isn't taking us in a direction we want to go. So Yeah, just I'm curious your reflection on that idea in the market, in the coaching world, in the world at large.
So many thoughts on that, Darla. I mean, like, do we have like a couple more hours? Um, I 1,000% agree with you. I often joke that, trickle down economics doesn't work, and neither does trickle down embodiment. This idea, right? Like perfection, and then like body will pay attention and do it the way it's supposed to do, and it'll be perfect. Like it does not work that way. And I think we have to. Okay, so there's so much that I could say to this, and I've been. I think for me, part of my magic that I'm really starting to feel into, that I'm scared to say it out loud, but I'll say it out loud because I feel like I'm in good hands here. I think about running for office.
What was
I
that you just censored right there?
Cool. I think about running for office. What I censored was, so my son is adopted. My son is also he's Black and autistic. And so you I think you can probably now decipher some of the unspoken things that I was saying before. Like it's been a wake-up call. I mean, I knew it was going to be a wake-up call, but it's an even deeper wake-up call. And yes,
Meaning specifically how people in the space responded to the George
not, oh,
Floyd
not,
murder
yeah, George Floyd, yeah,
specifically.
George Floyd,
Yeah.
that coming up, and then just yeah, I mean, and seeing that there's a lot of ableism and there's a lot of toxic positivity, spiritual bypass that happens in our industry, and a lot of times that harms, people in the BIPOC community, and being also neurodiverse, like that has been a learning curve. And so again, it's just kind of like I in that podcast episode when we talked about his birth, I'm pretty sure I talked about the moment I know that my soul and his soul connected. Like I remember the moment I knew that the whatever happened in the universe. He has been one of my greatest teachers. And he is helping me deepen my own embodiment in ways that I could have never imagined. And coming back around to like the current culture and the coaching space, I think the biggest issue facing our culture today is what I've heard called the disease of disconnection. We're disconnected from the planet, we're disconnected from each other, and we're taught from a very young age to disconnect from ourselves. And you're right that like, people still come to me and they're like, just tell me how to do my business. Just tell me, right? In the coaching industry is just follow my 5 steps and everything is great. And like, like, no, right? Like learning how to know your alignment, trust it, follow it, like that's the practice. I can share with you what works well for me. And then as a coach, say, what do you hear in this? And how can we explore what this might look like for you? I actually think marketing is nothing other than living your values out loud.
Mm.
You value connection, go connect, right? You value community, go create community. Like
Yes.
that, if your marketing is that I have to do it a certain way and I'm going to disconnect from the very thing that gives me life, it's going to feel like shit. But if you go and say, what are my values and what might be some ways that I can share them? Podcasts, right? Like I've gotten really into Substack lately. It's been really fun.
Mm.
You
Oh,
know, oh yeah, love Substack.
gotta follow you.
Okay. Oh, I'll follow you too.
I
Yeah.
don't
So,
have one.
oh my God, I love it. It's been, I needed like I needed a place to I talk. I needed a place where I could
Yeah.
just talk and write and share my thoughts. Um, so I really do believe that the healing we're all looking for is this ability to come back to ourselves. If you're listening and you're a coach, like you have to realize most people in our world today don't know how to think for themselves and they don't know how to feel for themselves.
Yeah.
And is it okay if I share this?
Hmm.
So I put this together. Honestly, I'm holding up my Body, Mind, Living embodiment journal. One of the things that I realized, even teaching massage therapists about embodiment, most people don't know how to be present with their body. And even the idea of listen to your body implies separation,
Mm,
right? Like this part of me in my head is going to like listen down to what this is saying and then create a judgment around it, create a story around it, feel like I have to do something with it. It's more about listening through, listening with,
mm,
listening from.
mm.
So I'll share the questions with you. But basically, the journal has 5 daily questions and then weekly reflections. I also created this so my clients had something to give their clients. So I'll share the link with you.
That's awesome.
But the 5 questions is the first one is what sensations do you notice? Like most people, when you ask them, what are you feeling? Like they don't know how to feel it.
Yeah.
Or they'll give it a label. And with that label comes judgment. I'm feeling stressed. Stress is bad. I am bad. And you've just perpetuated disconnection within yourself. Versus, I'm noticing a tightness in my shoulder. I feel, right, like, maybe there's some constriction in my chest. I feel my butt sitting against my seat. Like learning how to notice sensations without judgment is a practice.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So that's the first step. The second step is, it's my favorite one. You're going to love this one, Darla. So when you notice this energy, ask it, is this energy mine or someone else's?
Yeah, that was huge for me.
Yes, because a lot of times, especially in a world with, am I allowed to say, scared little men? Like, not the men who listen to this. I'm talking the men who have to go and control everything, whatever. They want you to be disconnected.
Yes.
They want you to be in a state of fear.
Yes.
And so they want you to feel anxious. So, like, when you're like, hey, is this energy mine or someone else's? What I want you to do with this question, my dad asked me this and he's very analytical. And he's like, well, how am I supposed to figure out what is mine and what is someone else's? And I was like, you just ask the question and see what changes.
Mm.
Because energy that is not yours to process. Return to sender, set it down, give it to the earth, recycle it, whatever you need to do. So, what are you noticing? Is this mine or someone else's? From the energy that is left, ask it. If this energy had a voice, what is it trying to say?
Mm.
This question also takes practice. Sometimes you'll hear a message immediately. Sometimes it takes some time to kind of understand how your body talks to you.
Yeah.
But that's why I did the journal. It's the consistency of asking it. Usually, even those 3 questions, you'll start to feel a shift in how you feel. The 4th question is, how do I want to feel? You have a choice. Even if you want to feel free, right? And the only place you feel free is in the tip of your pinky finger, great. Let's focus on that, right? But you want to, how do I want to feel? When it comes to this situation, how do I want to feel? When it comes to my marketing, how do I want to feel? And then the goal here is to let yourself be in that energy, right? Generally, your chest is going to open up, your shoulders are going to roll back, you're going to feel your chin lift, your voice, right? Your throat's going to open up. And when you sit in that energy, here's the fun part. This is the physiology part. When you sit in that energy for 30 seconds to 3 minutes, your amazing brain is going to start thinking from that energy.
Mm.
So the last question is, how can I expand this energy for myself and others? It's like, what is one thing I can do to expand this energy or to help somebody else expand this energy? And I think that's the core of marketing right there.
Love that.
And sometimes like a person will come to mind, or like an idea for an article will come to mind, or like, just something pops up and I go and I take that step. But those are my 5 questions to
Yes.
help you practice embodiment. Because when you start to bring awareness to like, oh, hey, wait a second, I'm noticing this. Is this mine? I don't know. Well, I'm going to give that back. What is this trying to tell me? Okay, that's interesting. Well, how do I want to feel and what could I do to expand that?
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm also so present to the practice and the consistency. Let's source know I'm showing up to pay attention.
Yeah.
There's like a way our brain wants to plan so far in advance. These are my other deep thoughts. If they're not about integrity, they're about like this difference between, okay, I'm holding this big vision and I'm going to call that energy in now and I'm going to be it now and manifest that, right? Collapse time, that whole conversation. And then there is, I'm going to show up to my meditation cushion every day or whatever my walk, my whatever the practice is. And I'm going to hear the baby step and I'm going to take it, even if I have no idea what that has to do with the vision. And I don't have any deep answer around that, but I find the adventure of going, ooh, I'm going to take this step today because that's what feels right in my soul, even though it may not make sense to what I think I'm supposed to be doing to get to my vision.
Mhm.
That feels so much better in my body than trying to control it.
I have clients that like everything that you're saying. I have a current client who she owns horses
Mm,
and she'll do this exercise and she's like, one day it just called me to go and connect with my horses. And while she was there, she just posted something on, Facebook or whatever on social media. And it was just a message from her heart, whatever was coming through. Of course, somebody messages her. And then I think it was Friday, she signed a $3,500 client because she just followed that weird thing that felt right. And I think this kind of goes back, circles around to that comment you made earlier about the go big or go home.
mm,
Um, because, I- oh man, I know, and I think Darla, actually, Darla, I think you called it out on me on one of the first times I ever met you.
fun.
Um, just making a comment of like, I remember being at one of your retreats and I pulled the star card. That was
Mm,
the tarot card that I had gotten. I'm pretty confident, and let's be honest, I know that there is going to be a season in my life where there is a big stage that I am standing on.
mhm,
I know that. I also know that that is not right now.
mm,
And for me, right now, I love that my business gets to be me waking up and saying, how can I honor my embodiment and trust? And it's been lovely, right? It's been such a just like I feel like it's deepened our process. It's like the systems are better, the business is much more stable, much more grounded. I feel like the foundation, it's like it got so big so fast that I had to come back in and really sit with what is the foundation that I'm building here. So that when the time comes when I'm ready for whatever's next, this thing that I've created that is so amazing and so beautiful and has its own soul can thrive. And man, that has been humbling. It has been so
yeah.
humbling to, let myself move a little bit slower and not push things and not have these massive enrollment goals. Now, irony is it's much more profitable this way too, which is fun,
Mhm,
right? So, but it's really about like I have to trust what feels good for me. And we teach our clients, most of our clients, they don't want to have a big online business. You know, 7 to 8 coaching clients is a great business.
mm. Yeah.
That's a great business that can be very like that can give you a lot of freedom and flexibility. Uh, so I hope people hear that like your business, if you are here to help others, no matter what that looks like, big, small, like whatever, your business needs to hold you first and foremost.
Yes.
And so you have to trust in your embodiment. You have to trust in what feels good. You have to like let the energy flow and support you. I think there's a lot of surrender in that. There's a lot of trust in that. There's a lot of presence with that. But
Mhm.
that's also, I joke body mind, like I'm literally here to turn the industry on its head. Yeah, thank you for laughing. Right. But that idea of
So
this
the guts
disconnection.
first,
Yeah,
people,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. I mean, like it's really about we've been trying to fix everything from this top-down perspective, and it doesn't work.
Mhm.
And I think it feels like if you feel like you're forcing your business, it's probably because you're disconnected from yourself. Get back in your body and you'll feel that grounded fulfillment, like energy come in.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Laura, I'm going to put the link to the journal
Yes,
in the
please.
show notes. And then we also have the three brain coaching model free
Yes.
training. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, I alluded to it earlier today, but a lot of people, we have a lot of body workers and holistic practitioners that come and work with us, and we also have a fair amount of coaches. Um,
Mhm.
but I go through our three brain model and how that equates to our coaching sessions and structure. It's really about a simple process for you to deepen the impact that you have with your clients. It's going to make your coaching so much more impactful while giving you so much more ease because you're activating this natural physiology inside of your sessions.
Mm, nice. I love the way you said that. You've probably said that a time or two.
It always comes out a little bit different, but
Do you know what your profile is? Are you a 6'2" in human
I'm a
design?
6'2", yes.
I thought I remembered that. I am also.
Okay.
And so the whole off the roof thing, right? I'm now
Yeah.
off the roof.
I'm
So
jealous.
when you're talking about, well, it's interesting, right? I mean, this is a total tangent and only maybe people with this profile will care about this, but um, it's interesting to be an ambitious person who likes to create and to be on the roof, which is basically like percolating and getting your knowledge ready for the next stage. And I'm at the next stage now, so I'll let you
I'm like,
know.
I feel like I'm like looking at you, like I can't wait. I mean, like you are radiant, by the way. Just want to say
Oh,
that.
thank you.
Like radiant. And I always love these connections because like I can track now our energy and how we have shifted as humans. And
Yeah.
I've always appreciated how you are very open about like the amazing things in your business and your life, but also like you've had your transformational journey and it's not always perfect or pretty. And it's I think really encouraging to see someone who has come off the roof. Uh, I had another projector 6'2" friend say that it was a season of rest
Mm,
and rest and surrender. And I went kicking and screaming into it. I think I
yeah.
needed it.
Yeah.
So I feel it coming, and I'm also grateful for this stage and allowing it to unfold.
Yeah. We need models and options and ways of creating to choose from as opposed to just that. Like I remember when I was in my corporate job, my second corporate job, I was working at Lens Crafters and everything was about the year over year by week, right? And so it was like inherent in that if these 4 weeks of the year we did some promotion, nobody was willing to not do that same promotion next year because you had to like match the weeks, right? And it's like that's wild. We could come up with so many creative ways to do so much more without that constraint. And then get into business, and it's like, where are we putting constraints, right? Like it has to grow in a linear fashion in order to be whatever the
Yeah. Yeah.
masculine version
Oh,
of
yeah.
business is.
Oh, totally. And yeah, it's like the seven-figure business, now the multi-seven-figure business, and the eight-figure business. And I like, okay, it's fun. I mean, like making money is fun, and I love that. And it
Mhm.
is a spiritual journey in and of itself. And also, I don't want that just because that's what I'm told I want. Like, what's on the other side of that is the freedom, the flexibility. I want to, enjoy time with my kid. And also, I love what I do. I love getting on and teaching, and I love the process that we do. And the ICF stuff has been so fun and engaging for us. Like, it's just, I love what I do, and I want to work in a way where I can go and love what I do and then turn it off
Yeah.
and then go be mom. Granted, you and I both know that I never shut off this thing in my head and it's always thinking and swirling. But like, as soon as it became I have to sustain some level of success because somebody else told me that that's what it's supposed to be, it felt like shit.
Yeah.
And the whole reason I do this is because I want to love my life and I want to help other people love their life. And
That's living your values.
that is that. So, and it's, icing on top is that I get to hang out with such amazing people like you. And I'm so just grateful for how the universe works and, how we come together and grow and expand and learn and live and share. Like that's just, it's really beautiful what we get to do.
It really is. Thank you, Laura. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
being you. I always love getting to connect with you, and I know your heart, and I know like every day that you do pour into your business, you're making a difference and with your family. And I feel like I have to say back when you had the expensive contract on Maui and you were like, should I go through with this? Should I not? And one of the biggest things that we did, I don't know if you remember, but it was like, what is the life you want? And the life you wanted was to be a mom and to not be getting on a plane all the time and pushing yourself to burn out and all of those things. And so you've done that, and you knew that in your heart, and you knew so much in your heart about the life you wanted. And if you ever forget, I can remind you that everything you're doing is like what you wanted.
It's crazy. And I'm starting to like envision what is next. So my son loves trains. My husband wants to get an RV. So like I think the next like retreat thing is gonna be we like travel around and like I'll host a retreat where we go
Mm,
and have a little adventure and do that. So
I love it. I
yeah,
want
I
to
mean,
make the invitation, come to Colorado.
ooh,
My partner owns a spa, and it's got
that's
a
sweet.
sacred site where you can bring your clients, and it's fantastic. So
Yes, please. Yes, please.
putting in the plug.
Yeah, and whoever's listening to this, if you want to, I'm on Instagram and Substack. I'm sure you'll list all the details. Say hi. I always love it when
Yeah.
people are like, "Hey, I listened to this interview." Like, it's just so nice
Yes.
to put a face to a name. I would love to hear that. And then again, if the Body Mind Living Journal, I went through the questions, so like you can do the
So
questions,
good.
but I find that when you do it on a daily basis, it helps you understand and learn your own embodiment. And that's what the real value is. So check it out. You know,
Thanks, Laura.
thank you,
Love you
Darla.
so much.
I adore you.
Thanks,
Thank you
everyone,
so
for
much.
watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.